Hello, welcome to the October 2023 Agile Austin Coaching Meetup. Well, we welcome you all. If you want to go to the next slide. I'm Sid Markle, and I'm joined by Lonnie Dame. We're the co-hosts, basically, of the coaching meetup. We host it once a month, and our goal is to help build out the Agile coaching community and help build coaching skills. So we host these monthly conversations on different topics that are helpful to Agile coaches. And we, for the most part, meet every Monday of the month via Zoom. And because of that, we can have people join from, all over the world, not just Austin, Texas. So we're glad for everybody who does attend and participates in these conversations. Here's what you can expect tonight. We'll facilitate the questions and the conversation. We'll help make sure that everybody gets enough airtime when they have questions that they have for our speakers. Our speakers have communicated to us ahead of time that they don't mind to go ahead and jump in and interrupt as they're going through their presentation tonight. They really want it to be conversational tonight. You can also add any comments you may have in the chat, but feel free to come off and also interact with us. And we encourage that engagement because it is a discussion. We have a presentation, but it's a discussion, and we all grow and learn more when we're able to talk through these things. And if there's anything anybody else needs from this space, just let us know, and we'll try to accommodate that the best that we can. We want this to be a welcoming environment for everybody who attends. By the way, if anybody is interested in expanding your network or making a difference in being part of the Agile Austin community, we're looking for volunteers who may want to co-host with us on this meetup. We want to expand a little bit. So if you're interested and want to learn more, just reach out to either one of us, Lonnie or Sid. All right, next slide. We are part of a larger group of meetups. Agile Austin has meetups. We also have education opportunities and conferences, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes. But we're part of a system of other meetups, and all of them can be found on meetup.com/AgileAustin, including a book club, Agile leaders, a bunch of different topics. And it's all towards the mission of connecting people and fostering, professional growth through collaboration. So that is our mission. That's what we're here for. We're a nonprofit organization, and it's our goal to connect. So the big thing we have going on that's coming up March 7th to 2024, we have our annual Keep Austin Agile conference. It's a fantastic conference. It's going to be hybrid this year. There will be some things in person, some things virtual. And the big thing of note right now is the call for speakers is open. So if anybody is interested in putting forth a topic for discussion at this conference, that is open, and they're taking speaker proposals now. Okay.
And sorry, if I may just chime in real quick, call for sponsors also is open, and we have already had submissions for both sponsors and speakers. So March feels like far away, but time flies.
It'll be here before we know it, right?
It'll be like Happy New Year.
I know, right? It'll be here like that. Sponsorship is really important to our organization. Like I said, we're a nonprofit. And so we also want to thank our current sponsors who keep us going throughout the year. So a big hearty thank you to all of our current sponsors. We have some upcoming topics. In November, Will Vanderwalt will be joining us to talk about the integral model by Ken Wilber, and about how to lead with integrity. Really looking forward to that conversation. Hope you can join us. It will be the first Monday in November. In December, we're planning a holiday party in person. So unfortunately, that one won't be virtual. It'll be a chance for all of us in Austin or the Austin area to get together and just be merry. So that's what we're looking forward to in December. In January, we're going to take off. Just a little downtime before we pick back up in February. We already have a couple of topics lined up for February and March, and I think April already. So stay tuned for those. We'll have those for you to see and sign up for soon.
All right, so on to our featured speakers today. So before they come in and give you their spiel, just wanted to share a little bit about Chichi and Fran. And I had the pleasure of going through the ORSC training, so the organizational and relationship systems coaching, a couple sessions of the training with them. So I got to see firsthand just, how amazing coaches they are, continuing to learn, which is obviously a core part of what we're doing. And they're coming to talk to us about trust matters and transforming organizations. They also both belong to and have helped co-found an organization called Agile Disciples, which really focuses on Agile and mentoring and bringing up kind of the next wave of Agile. And they can tell you a little bit more about that. So I think that's all I want to say right now is just, I love these ladies and am excited that they've volunteered to come speak to us. So I'm going to stop by sharing and I will hand it over to Chichi and Fran.
Thank you, Lenny, and thank you, Sid. Yay. All right. Well, I first of all want to say thank you for the opportunity of being here today. And before we dive in, also want to say, of course, Lani, we were in the same class. Lani is a phenomenal coach. You have a treasure here. And I'm also glad to be part of her class, part of the cohort, alongside Dr. Francesca as well. So I'm going to just let Dr. Francesca, say if you have anything to say, please speak on while I share the screen.
Yeah, so I'm just excited to be here. Lani, thank you so much for this opportunity, and Austin Meetup, thank you for allowing us to be in your platform. Yeah, we were in several classes, or I say cohorts with Lani, and we really enjoyed her experience, our collaboration, and her openness in discussion and how we can be able to enhance ourselves and make ourselves better coaches. So we are here to just try and discuss. This is a collaborative session. We're going to talk. Yes, we are presenters, but we are here to present information just to make sure that, we discuss this. Some of you know about it. Whatever information you have, you come in with this, we put it together and come up with something very beautiful. So I'm a co-founder, as Lani said, with Chichi Agile Disciples. I also co-founded Buffalo Women in Agile. I'm a transformational leader and a coach and an agile coach at the moment. So that's about me. My day job is I coach and I train SPC. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm Chichi Afiah, also a co-founder of Agile Disciples. And what we do is very similar here. We just spread the word and, we bring up a generation of Agilists, people with new ideas in the Agile space. And we even go beyond the Agile space because there's new things happening. So we're open to understanding what's going on. The last time it was AI. I was intrigued about AI. And Lani, there was a post you shared about English majors in AI. That caught my attention, and I went into research about AI and all. So I'm looking. Okay, so we'll just dive right in with a little icebreaker, right? So we have provided a list of words that we could think of that's related to trust, right? And what we want you all to do today is just select one word that resonates with you or that has a personal significance in the context of trust. Right? We'll give you guys 1 minute to pick up a word, hold that word, right, for a few seconds. Then we're going to do a storm chat. We're going to storm the chat with that one word you have selected. All right. So think, select. And in a few seconds, we'll all drop it at the same time. Oops, have you started dropping it? All right, let's go then. Let's storm the chat. All right. Dependability, respect, authenticity. Okay. All right, authenticity. I want to look at it. I want to make it bigger on my screen. Okay. So I'm looking for words that have been repeated many times. And I think what that stands out is on authenticity. Can anyone here just speak more about that? How does that resonate with you?
Sorry, don't mind my background.
No,
Yeah,
just
I
do
did.
it.
I did put authenticity. Authenticity is like for you to be able to trust that person, right? It takes while, and it's more to being transparent. It's more to showing your true self, and you want to come out and either be giving a feedback or trying to say something about yourself. You being authentic. I think it's also showing a little bit of vulnerability and saying that I'm here and this is me, that giving you showing you the way, the path for you to be able to trust the other person. Or I think it's give and take, right? Like you want to give your hand first for others to pull you up. So that's the reason I put authenticity there.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I like the way you say put your hand out there, like you stretch it and say, hey, this is me, right? That's great. Any other thoughts to authenticity in the context of trust? Okay. How about transparency?
Yes, Max Akesi here. I chose transparency because I think it's fundamental that people can just be themselves and be comfortable with being themselves and allowing everybody to see them the way they are and being able to see everybody the way they are and just have that as a starting point. And then from there, you can much better build trust and be, like authentic about stuff and just be able to be a much more high performing team, right? Because you get past that big barrier of just being yourself and being okay with everybody seeing you transparently as yourself.
Right. Thank you.
I love that, Max. I was thinking too, I think it does get back to authenticity also, but it's not withholding information. It's not hoarding information. It's keeping it open flow and equality of information in a way.
All right. So I'm hearing transparency of self and transparency of information. Right. Thanks for that. Because I imagine working in a place where, you can't be yourself, you can't admit things, right? You probably will wear the face of I know it all, right? But you really don't know it all. So that is putting a face, a mask, right, over yourself. And transparency of information, really spread the word. No hoarding of information that might be helpful to another person. All right, I see reliability as well. Can we talk more about reliability?
Hi, Tristan here. One thing about reliability is once you hit, I was looking for predictability, wasn't an option. So I chose reliability because I'm of the opinion that trust is you can predict something without checking up on it. You don't have to keep on checking up. So if somebody is reliable, and they can be reliably lead to bad outcomes or reliably chaotic. As long as you can know what to expect, you can trust people to do what they do.
Wow.
I like that. Chaotic.
Yeah. Great. So these are some words that stood out to us as we brainstormed on what trust is, right? And if you look at it, there is, you know, a connection to it, right? A connection to trust and all of these words. Thanks for having that discussion. Moving on. So this is going to be the agenda. I will not read through it, but just, you know, flow with it. And but for now, I'd like to introduce the session with a story. Now, because I would like to turn off my video and tell the story, but just listen is an introduction into what we're going to be talking about. So my video will be off while I read out the story. I'll try to be in character as we go. Okay. All right. So once upon a time, in a bustling corporate world, there was a dynamic sales team at B Corporation. They were a tightly knit group, united by their shared goals. Led by their experienced manager, Amy, they had a reputation for achieving remarkable sales results and fostering a culture of trust. However, like any team, they faced their fair share of challenges. It all started with a seemingly minor incident that snowballed into a significant breach of trust. One fateful day, Amy made a pivotal decision without consulting her team. It was a decision that had a direct impact on how they conducted their sales presentation. While she believed her choice will streamline the process, her team saw it differently. They felt blindsided and unheard. The team's initial shock and disappointment quickly gave way to frustration. The decision had unintended consequences, leading to a drop in sales figures. Team members were forced to adapt quickly to the new approach, but they couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. As days turned into weeks, the chasm between Amy and her team widened. Communication, which had once been open and transparent, became guarded. The trust that they had once between them was eroded with distrust layer by layer. Sales meetings, which used to be spirited exchanges of ideas, became tense and uncomfortable. Instead of collaborating to solve challenges, team members pointed fingers, each blaming the other for the declining sales performance. The once strong team's unity had crumbled. Team members stopped sharing their concerns and innovative ideas, fearing they would fall on deaf ears. The vibrant energy that used to fill the office was replaced with heavy silence, punctuated only by the sound of ringing phones and disgruntled customers on the other end. The impact on the team was palpable. Morale hit an all-time low, and individual team members began questioning their commitment to the organization. The erosion of trust had created a toxic environment where motivation and enthusiasm were in short supply. Amy, the leader who had once inspired her team, found herself isolated from the very people she depended on. She sensed the growing distrust, but was unsure how to bridge the gap she had unwittingly created. Have we been there before? Or have we seen this happen? How many times? Does it ring a bell to anyone? Is it currently going on in your—
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. I was looking for a response.
Sure. No, it does ring a bell. And I suppose the places that I've seen it before are where there wasn't actually really trust there in the first place. There were siloed people, sort of all solo performers doing really well, and then when it came to work together, it was just a different dynamic, and it wasn't actually the foundation of trust there in the first place.
Yeah. And if you consider the change in space, the agile change in space, things are shifting, right? Organizations are reorganizing. There is that gap of communication. There's lack of transparency. Why are we doing this? People making decisions on your behalf. Local decisions are made on your behalf, and it's causing that. What's happening? Why am I here? Right? It's gradually forming distrust in the system. And as coaches, we are aware that's why we should be aware of the signals we find. We sense a behavior, we see a behavior, right? And what we're supposed to do is reach out, right? Find out what's going on. Those are the unheard signals in the system. Right. So, what is trust? We picked trust from Stephen Covey's book. I'm a lover, I'm sorry. So we use his book for a lot of our resources. So trust is the confidence or reliance that one person has in another person, organization, or system. It is the belief that someone or something will act in a reliable, competent, and ethical manner. All right. So, do we have any other definitions in our minds? Any other definitions, maybe different, similar, just? Or does this cover what trust might be? I'm not lecturing. Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer, so just speak up. Think.
I really like this definition. This really resonates with me because it hits on a lot of the different words that we talked about. Like I can't think of another definition.
Yeah.
I'm another Covey admirer and fan, so this works out well for me as well.
Okay.
I think it's a very overly strict definition. I would remove necessarily the competent part, but it's clear we mean reliable, competent, ethical, so I can get behind it for today.
I just want to jump in and agree with that, removing the competent. I was kind of struggling with that in my head because I think it's not necessarily the person that needs to be competent, but we just need to know that they'll try their best.
Right. Yeah. And we'll come to that because I think that's going to even come up. But I like the thoughts behind competence. Now I'm gonna pose a question, and I wanted to hold that question till sometime, as we go through the class. Sorry, I train a lot. As we go through the session. Now imagine a future where trust is a cornerstone of our organization's culture. What would that look like? We're going to round off with that question. Imagine a future where trust is a cornerstone of our organization's culture, of your organization's culture. What will that look like? Just paint a picture in your head as we go through these slides. Now, we have probably, of course, heard about the economics of trust. All right. This equation it encapsulates the idea that trust has a direct and positive impact on efficiency and effectiveness of individuals, of organizations. Where there's high trust in your team, in your organization, right? There is high speed. Things move at a pace, at a faster pace. and there's low cost, low transaction cost. So high trust is, it just means that there is a strong belief in the reliability or the integrity or competence of parties involved. When I trust that you're going to do something, right? When I can rely on you, when you have integrity, and when I know that, like Sammy said, you will do your best, right? It results to faster, we walk together faster, right? When there's high speed, there is less need for lengthy negotiations. We are having direct conversations. There is less documentation, right? There's no bureaucratic processes where we have to sign different things because there's trust. We've done this before. We can experiment. We can learn. We take calculated risks together. And we trust that there's a reason why we're doing certain things. And because we're moving at that speed and that understanding, there is a low cost, low transaction cost, right? We probably will have less, there'll be a reduction in administrative or expenses, or, there is a less chance that we incur losses, right? But if you look at it the other way, where there is low trust, low morale in a team, what could happen with speed? What might happen?
It goes down. It slows down a lot.
It slows down because I am here thinking, oh, what's he doing? Do I even trust? There is back channeling, right? I remember that when we had a new leader show up in our organization, there was too many changes, too fast changes. We didn't understand what was going on. So there was a lot of, oh, what's she doing? What's she talking about? Right? It was slowing things down. And when you do that, it increases cost. You're wasting time doing things you're not supposed to be doing, right? Mm-hmm. People that are meant to be working are busy thinking, oh, okay, I need to do that. It just slows things down. And it's natural. Think about it in the family sense of it. When there's no trust, right? Decisions between husband and wife is slower. Someone is suffering, and that's the low cost. That's the high cost, right?
Chichi, if I can throw something in that this just made me think of when you were talking about the cost, because sometimes we think of cost just from that financial perspective. What came to mind for me was the cost of how it affects the relationship. Because when you're in a bad situation like that relationship, the cost of that relationship to get somebody to do something, they're going to be resistant all the way. And it's going to cost you a lot to get things to move. Versus if you're in a good relationship, I mean, think about, I could go ask Sid, I'd be like, Sid, I really, I need this. And she'd be like, sure. Because our relationship, like, we don't have that high cost because we've got a great relationship. So it's, interesting to think about it from that, not just from cost from a financial point of view.
And even with the thing about it in the family sense, is my husband and I, like, I think I was, if I need something for the kids, I might not do it on my own, but then I might need him to do something, right? So the cost in my sense is my kids, like, they're suffering for something that is from the lack of speed in making decisions, right? So now, how do we move forward with trust, right? How can we establish trust? Let's ask I'm going to ask a few questions, right? And I want you guys to think, write, share. Think, write, and then share if you want to. So, who do you trust? Who is that person you think of that you trust? Okay. Now, if you have that down, written that down, now what informs the confidence in them? What informs that confidence that you trust them? What is that thing that exists in them that makes you trust them? Max is like, oh, I don't need to think, I know it off hand. Like, oh, she's right next to me. Sorry. Did I overthink?
No, like you're spot on. You're spot on.
Okay. All right. So does anyone want to share just those 2 questions before we move on to the next 2?
Sure, I'll go ahead and share. Sorry.
Okay.
And the first person that came to mind was my wife and my mom, actually. But and I think that in both cases, what makes me trust them so much is, first thing is the longevity of our relationship. And I think that is something that, as in corporate America, especially, there's been people move from job to job a lot more. That is impacting trust. When you are working with people, when you have a relationship with people for a very long time, that helps build trust in the relationship, because you have a feeling that you're in it together. And then there's all these other things that bring you together, whether it be children, family members, investments you made together. All these things, you're interconnected in various layers and ways. And then, of course, you love each other too. So that does help with trust. But I think that just having so much connection in multiple ways just helps build that trust also.
Yeah. Thank you. Longevity, connection in multiple ways. Any other person want to share?
I don't want to,
I came up with a couple of words.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you get Sid. Okay.
You go, Sid.
I just came up with a couple of words: predictability and positive intent. I think they sort of form foundation.
Predictability. Oh, how come I didn't think of that word? Predictability and positive intent.
I think that intention thing is a big one. And that was one for me when I was thinking about it. We have a shared experience, but also we have a shared intention. Like for the people that I trust, I know that we're trying to move in the same direction. And when we're not, we can talk about it openly. And when there's not trust, there's a misalignment of intentions and you're not able to talk about it. So that makes it very sketchy. Yeah.
Right. Love that connection. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the next set of. Did you want to say something, Lanny?
Yeah, and I was also going to say there's a couple comments in the chat. And I'll just share on my side. The word that came through was caring, which kind of goes to me what the thinking behind it with what Sammy was saying, that positive intent. Like, I know that these are people that have my best interest at heart. So they're not coming with some sort of ulterior motive. Like, I know that they have that caring.
Right.
And I love Leoris has in the chat too. I can be myself with them, and high lows, she said, and they're still going to be there if I go away and come back. I love that, Leo.
Consistency, yeah, right. Okay, now let's flip the question, right? So, who trusts you? We have people we trust, but who trusts you? And what do you think informs the confidence in their trust in you? What is it in you that makes them trust you?
We can come off mute and talk.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a great question. If you want somebody to trust you, first of all, it's not going to happen overnight. It's something that is going to take them a while. And I think for a person like me, it's following through something, right? When I say that I'm going to do this, or let me handle this, or let me help you with this, just following through and having that done is how it's going to create the trust in the other person for me to be able to even have that open conversation the next time around.
Okay. So are you saying, are you telling me, so if people trust you because you're able to do what you say you would do?
Yes, because end of the day, that's what you're looking in for when you confide in someone or when you want somebody's help. It's that following through, right? I mean, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like being committed and helping them out. Just even in a relationship, right? Like when you say, I trust this person, is because they have something for you that you can help them with, and you're going to make them, see it through.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. And I like where you started. Trust is an exchange, right? But to establish trust, it really starts with you. Who trusts you? Why do they trust you? Right? And I like the fact that someone mentioned intent, right? That is part of the roots, the foundation of being credible, right? Integrity really is the foundation of trust. And it means being honest, adhering to strong moral principles. People with high integrity are consistent in their actions. When you have integrity, others can rely on your word, right? So having that integrity and intent builds up your character. And intent is really about your motives, your agenda, right? Being clear and transparent about your intent builds trust, because it shows that your actions are driven by a desire of a positive outcome for all parties involved. So when you see leaders with character, right, they have integrity, they have values, and they have positive intent, not just for me, or not just for themselves as a leader, but what's in it for you, what's in it for me, what's in it for the organization. I can actually brag about my leaders, right? They are awesome. Because they have great intentions. Even in the agile space that's going crazy, we find a way around it, right? Now, competence is also, competence is what we see above, right? It's what we do, our capabilities, and that's being credible. When people perceive you as competent, right, they are more likely to trust your judgment. These are the things that people can see, right? Because this person has integrity and has good intention, right? I will trust that they have capabilities, right? They have the competence to do what they say, or they will try to achieve what they say they will achieve. And they're partnering with you. People of high trust, or a high trust leader will show results as well. They achieve positive outcomes. They have a track record. When they consistently produce successful results, it reinforces the perception that they're reliable and they can be trusted to follow through on commitments. So while we have intent and integrity as the foundation, right? The fruits that we see of having good intentions and integrity is we see people with results. They understand that once they commit to people, they are capable to deliver. They're honest and tell the truth about what they're going to do, and then they do it. Or at least they try to do it. And are communicating why every now and then. We're all here as leaders, whether you're a leader of yourself, of your family, of your team, of your organization. This is us. So some behaviors of high trust leaders. High trust leaders will talk straight, which is be honest. Tell people the truth, right? Tell your teams the truth. Don't spin around things. You can tell when people are trying to be manipulative. Oh, you got this. Do it. No. Talk straight. What is what's going on? Let people know where you stand. Be vulnerable. It's okay. High trust leaders would demonstrate respect. That's the character they're showing. They care for others. They truly care for others and respect others. You can tell when someone is faking it. I hear a lot of people say, fake it till you make it. I can't stand it, right? I can't stand to fake it till you make it, because it's gonna fall out sometime. It can be hidden. Create transparency. Tell the truth, be genuine, be authentic, be vulnerable. And then when you've done wrong, be quick to apologize. I had a leader who was, he actually apologized. I'm like, that is awesome. And of course, give credit to those, that deserve the credit. And speak about people as their presence. No, don't call people resources. One of the most upsetting things I've heard. And in my organization, they've learned, coaches have said, they already know it. So when they're called resources, speak up. I'm not a resource, I'm a person. Hello, right?
Yeah.
I say that. And for competence, of course, these are the characters of being competent, right? And this is where it hits me, getting better. You deliver results, yes, but you also get better. There's continuous improvement. You may not do it or know it right away, but you're improving, you're getting there, right? And then you're clarifying expectations as you go. You're not just saying, like Amy, the story we heard before, Amy just went in to make a decision, right? But you are partnering with your team, with people, and clarifying expectations as you go, or as you know more, right? So I am going to, Dr. Francesca, do you want me to cover this, or would you go ahead from here?
You can cover this and I'll cover the next slide.
Right,
so
that's fine.
Mhm.
Now,
Thanks.
character and competence go hand in hand, right? All of this go hand in hand because with high trust leaders, you hear them listen first. Listen first, understand. How many times have we gone into a conversation with, you want to just listen and just respond, right? Go in and listen. Don't listen just to get your words out, and you keep your commitments. I say what I do and I do what I say. If I cannot, I cannot, and I let them know I can try. But if I can't, please. That's where transparency comes in. And the next level is to also extend trust. You want people to trust you, you have to trust first. Give trust to receive trust. It may sound naive. You've been burnt before. You've been hurt before. You've been in different organizations. I've done that. And, yeah, but give trust. Okay. All right. Dr. Francesca, I would move on. Are there any questions? Anything we're seeing in the chat that I want to call out before we move on? Okay.
Yeah, trust must begin from someplace. That's right.
Yeah, it might as well be you with you, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so are there any questions? If there are no questions, I'm just gonna go to the next one, extend trust. But before I go there, when we're looking at the 13 behaviors of high trust leader, you notice that they're clustered into 3 categories. So the first 5, they're your character. What does your character show, or how does your character flow in trust? The second 5 are from competency. You know, you deliver what you promise you're gonna do. You're competent in what you're doing. And if you don't know, you ask questions. You trust that, you know, I can ask Lani or Sid and I can be able to get the answer and deliver results. I just don't sit there and wait, you know, for things to blow up. And the last 3 actually are a mixture of both character and competence. So you realize that you must have that core foundation of the 5 of the 3 in order for you to be a trusted leader. And when you are trying to be a trusted leader, or you're trying to build trust among people, what you need to know is, first, you need to identify the behaviors. Identify the behaviors which you can come in and, with your trust, be able to mix and collaborate with others and build that trust. And when you do that, we talked about the speed, the trust, and the cost. So when you do that, that will slow the speed and will increase the cost in your work environment. So you need to learn how you can be able to go in and bring high trust, high speed, and low cost. You can only do that if you learn, identify those behaviors. You have to create that trust. You have to learn the 3 dimensions of creating that trust. And you need to create a customized plan to choose or to close the trust gaps that are impacting your team. So if you don't have the gaps, if you've not identified the trust issues in your team, there is no way you can be able to close the gaps, or there's no way you can help them. So first, you need to identify the behaviors, learn the 3 dimensions, and then create a customized plan on how you're going to help your teams. So with that, how do you extend that trust to your team, or how do you extend trust to either your relationships, your counterparts, and your friends? The best way to find out you can trust somebody is to trust them. So first and foremost, you should be able to act proactively, offering trust to others. I trust Chichi, I trust Lani. You should be able to be the person going out there, extending that arm, that yes, I trust you, in order for you to even get that trust. And this, in team organizations or in team setups, this will minimize or eliminate excessive monitoring and micromanagement, because there's that trust building it. I believe micromanagers do that because there's some little trust on people, so they don't know what to do. So normally is you demonstrate the willingness to believe in someone. You have the intentions and the integrity and the abilities to believe in someone, that I can trust this person. And when you do that, you can foster a culture of trust within teams and relationships, because you can trust this person. I trust my spouse, and that whatever my spouse says or whatever I tell my spouse, that's what we're gonna do. So why should we be able to extend trust? Or why is extending trust very important? We talked about speed, cost of trust. So if we have trust among ourselves, it accelerates progress. When trust is extended, it eliminates the need to, excessive monitor, or it eliminates the need for somebody to wait for decisions to be made, to wait for progress to take place, because you don't know how the other person is going to think about it. It also affects efficiency. Because when I'm waiting for Lani to make a decision because maybe she doesn't trust me or I don't trust her, what happens to efficiency? What happens to our speed? So if it accelerates progress. If you trust one another, it allows your team and the organization to work together and become more efficient, and this achieves goals faster. Then also foster collaboration. When we trust each other, when you're extending that trust, you're encouraging open communication. Because when I'm not open to you, then how will you be able to trust me when I'm not communicating with you? We also do collaborations. We are collaborating in this, for example, in this meetup right now, so that we can be able to share anything or everything about trust, so that all of us can share that experience and learn from each other. So people are more likely to share ideas when you're open, when you're communicating freely, when you're transparent, and they can work with you together when they feel they're trusted. If you don't, I mean, that's a normal life. If I don't trust you, it's very hard for me to work with you because I don't know what I'm gonna get. You know, so if I don't know what I'm gonna get, or I had worked with you before, just like our storyline, we worked with you before and then trust was, you know, broken, how am I gonna come back? And then with extending trust, we're also empowering people. We know in Agile, we need to empower people, you know, so that they can be able to be motivated and do what they got to do. So when you're empowering others, trust empowers individuals to take ownership of their work. You know, everybody's accountable. Accountability is key. Everything you are doing is transparent, and they can be able to make those decisions without fear of repercussions or you know, fear of being reprimanded. The empowerment can lead to greater innovation and creativity. When you give people empowerment, people think outside the box. People have the room or the environment whereby they can build themselves and they can be able to build, you know, great things. So innovation is created by them. They come up with innovative ideas which can help the organization. Then trust also builds relationship. It strengthens our relationships, the bonds between team members, the bonds between leadership and the teams. It enhances those relationships because we trust one another. It builds sense of mutual respect and support. So I don't know whether you guys have realized when an organization and we don't have that relationship, then it's kind of closed up. We're not open, you know, we don't even feel like there's that mutual respect because we don't trust one another. You don't feel like anybody is supporting you doing anything or supporting your ideas. Guess what? Because we don't trust. And I don't trust if I tell you, Christina, about this idea of mine, you know, I've seen Gap do this, or I've seen Microsoft do this, and I think we can be able to develop that in our own environment. I won't trust that because you don't have that mutual respect. And half of the time when I bring ideas, you don't support them. So what will make me right now come out with those things for you to be able to support or have that mutual respect? So it's very, very important for you to extend that trust. Not only that you want people to trust you, but can you be trusted? So when we talk about the core of extending trust, so definitely we know that trusting people is a risk. You take a risk when you trust people. You know, I don't know about you guys, somebody can chime in, but there are some times whereby you are in the borderline about trusting somebody. Have you guys experienced that? Anybody? And maybe you can speak about the situation. What made you think like that? Or what made you have, you know, think like, I'm not sure.
One
Go ahead.
experience I've had is where I don't feel someone's bought into maybe the action, the task, or the request, and they're like something like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And you're kind of like, will you? Are you going to do that?
Yeah. And I like that you say that, because when you trust somebody, it's a calculated risk. You can either get it or you can get burnt. You're taking this risk by trusting me, you know, and taking this risk is essential for growth and development. So if Sammy and I are working together and Sammy takes a risk on giving me an assignment to do, you know, maybe he hasn't seen me do that before. He's taking that calculated risk. And as it be, because of trust, we have mutual respect and support. I go ahead and do exactly accomplish that task as Sami expected. You know, I may not have known it, but maybe I went to research, I asked questions, and I was able to deliver the results. What happens to me? Essentially, I've grown and I've developed myself by learning a new thing. And Sami also have learned that I can trust Fran by giving her these tasks, and she can be able to accomplish them. And then he can give you more tasks, you know, and be able to trust on you that, yes, you're going to deliver. Same thing, delegation. So once I've done that with Sami, there's trust. He's going to be able to delegate tasks to me. He's going to be able to delegate some work to me because we have worked together. So he's giving me more responsibility. He's asking me to take more tasks even from others and help others do that, you know, so that I can be able to continue demonstrating my capabilities. I can be able to continue demonstrating my growth and helping him as my leader to be able to achieve the results we need by developing our team too. You know, and that flows down to empowerment. So you have taken the risk, given me the task, you've delegated to me, and we are working as a team now. So you're trusting me, you've given me empowerment, you're empowering me to make decisions and take ownership of my actions. So empowerment is the cornerstone of effective leadership and team dynamics. I don't know about you guys, but we've worked in an organization whereby, one, they don't want to delegate, two, they don't want to empower you to do anything. How does that work? Has anybody experienced that? There's no delegation, there's no empowerment. Just do as I say.
Yes, I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah. So that happens a lot. So as leaders, as we are here, we need to know that the core of extending trust, the foundation or the ground for you to be able to be really trusted, you need to be able to allow yourself to take those risks, allow yourself to delegate. A good leader delegates. Everybody will fail one time or the other. So you cannot carry everything on your chest and not delegate because you fear there'll be failure. And you need to empower your people. And that's, in Agile, we believe really, really in empowerment of people. And so once trust is broken, next slide, Chichi, how do we restore that trust? Okay, so the first thing we can do to restore trust is acknowledge that there's something which happened. You know, I agree, I'm sorry this happened, or I know that has happened, and this is how I'm gonna correct it. Come with solutions. Understanding that something has happened and need to be corrected. You need also to take responsibility. This is where we all fall short. Nobody wants to take responsibility for their actions. But in order to restore trust, you need to take that responsibility. Own it. You know, I was supposed to create this code. Unfortunately, I did not create it well, or I did not create it on time, whatever the situation is. Take responsibility and correct it. And that's when you make those amends. When you talk about trust, you realize that there is so much we need to do, and sometimes so little we need to do in order for us to just have that seamless relationship. Because some of these things we talk about are things we've learned since kindergarten. But do we practice it? Rarely do we. As we grow, we have our own characteristics and we change and we do stuff. But you need to build that credibility, consistency, demonstrate trustworthiness. Because if you're not trustworthy through your actions over time, nobody's going to trust you. So if I did a mistake last year, or I did something with learning in class and I lost her trust, I need to be able to make amends, so that I can be able to build credibility and trustworthy over time. Also, you need to be consistent. Ensure that your behavior and action align with your words. Talk the talk, you walk the talk. Whatever you say, that's what you do. Don't say that, okay, listen to what I say, but don't look at what I do. As leaders, we lead by example. As leaders, we do what we expect other people to do because they're looking at us. And our words must align with our actions. So when you do what you say consistently, you're going to be rebuilding trust gradually because they trust that if Steve say he's going to deliver that report on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., we're going to find that report on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. And gradually that builds trust among the organization, among your team members, among your peers. And then rebuild credibility. Remember, we are trying to restore trust here. So credibility may be lost along the way somewhere. So we're going to be rebuilding it, consistently demonstrating our trustworthiness. Our actions have to show that we are rebuilding credibility. And it has to be, you have to be having a repeated action. You have to repeatedly keep promising and being transparent and help rebuild that credibility. Be transparent, speak about it. Let people know that, yes, this happened, and I acknowledge that I breached your trust. However, I'm trying to make amends and build that credibility. It's very important because if you just break your trust and you don't restore that trust, it will never come back. You have to have some actions. You have to do something. And that something comes to you for you to be acknowledging it. Work on it. Work on trust. And you should be able to restore your trust back to your organization or your teams, and you can be able to work together. And then we have high trust, high speed, and low cost. Thank you. Anybody has any questions on that before we move on?
Not a question. We've had a lot of really great comments, in the chat about this. There's a good conversation around setting expectations, and making sure that there's kind of that fine balance between setting expectations and also not micromanaging. Yeah. A lot around restoring credibility and where some of these things are collaborative. I see Leora raised her hand. So Leora, if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Hello. I just wanted to react to Sammy's comment in the chat about they said that making amends and rebuilding credibility needs to be collaborative. And that brought to mind for me thinking about a situation where a leader was actually in the way of doing that. So I think that, sometimes when there are interpersonal conflicts between people in a team or in some group, and then there's a leader there who may or may not be, has different levels of conflict resolution, like a team manager, coach, or whomever. I think it'd be really helpful if in those situations they chose to facilitate, I call it repair, like relationship repair, instead of trying to protect one party or the other, or shielding, as some would call it. I always think it's better to facilitate repair, so that they can do what Sammy suggests, which is to, instead of guessing on your own, like if you feel like you're the responsible party or something like that, instead of guessing what resolution might look like, that you actually talk with the person with whom you have the conflict to see what their perspective is and see what would feel credible, because not everybody wants the same things. Like some people take words, other people want actions, and some people want actions in a certain way, private feedback, public feedback, yada yada,
Yeah. And so with you on that, your credibility is now, you don't trust the leader because the leader is taking sides. And the leader should also have self-trust. He needs to be able to have credibility and take responsibility on increasing his own credibility. He has to model that. So as a conflict resolution person, you have to be able to not take sides. You have to model that behavior of not taking sides and trusting people. so they can be able to do what they need to do, you know. But if that's not there, then nobody can be trusted, just like you said. It has to be collaborative, but people have to agree to collaborate. And so as a good leader with those 13 behaviors of high trust leader, you should be able to emulate that. And maybe when you do that, while they see what you model, they can be able to follow that. Yeah.
Great conversations.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for that. And I will round up this by giving a concluding story about Amy. All right. Remember Amy at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody remember her? Okay. All right. All right. So again, I'm going to turn on my camera because I'm just me. But then, so Amy, the once revered leader of the sales team, sat alone, wrestling with the harsh reality of the trust chasm that had emerged within her team. The erosion of trust had taken its toll, but Amy was determined to take action and rebuild what had been lost. So one morning during a team meeting, Amy stood before her team with an air of vulnerability that they had not seen in a long time. She cleared her throat and began. I want to acknowledge something that has been eaten at me. I made a decision without consulting any of you, and it didn't go as planned. I see now that I let you down. The room fell silent as her team members exchanged surprised glances. Amy continued. I let my eagerness to help and to make improvements cloud my judgment, and for that I am truly sorry, and I'm committed to making amends. Amy's admission of fault was a turning point. Instead of deflecting blame or making excuses, she took full responsibility of her actions. She understood that her actions had contributed to the breach of trust, and it was on her to lead the way to restoration. So Amy didn't stop at mere apology. She organized a team building workshop that was unlike any other. The workshop wasn't about trust falls or icebreakers. It was a safe space for our team members to openly express their frustration, share their feelings, air their thoughts. And as they gathered in the workshop, Amy encouraged her team to speak their minds and share ways to support her in restoring trust. Amy listened intently, of course with tears in her eyes, but she was willing to push this forward. With the newfound humility, Amy began to rebuild her credibility within the team. She wasn't interested in quick fixes or empty promises. She wanted to demonstrate through actions that she was trustworthy. Sales targets became her benchmark, and she led by example and worked diligently, exceeding her own goals. And she encouraged her team members to do the same. Day by day, Amy continues to show her commitment to the team's success. She communicated openly and honestly, ensuring that her team members were well informed and involved in decision-making processes. Amy sought to understand her team members on a deeper level. She held one-on-one meetings with each of them, fostering genuine conversations about their roles, their aspirations, and their concerns. Together with her team, Amy established clear goals and a process to prevent misunderstanding in the future. As months passed by, Amy's actions spoke louder than words. Slowly but surely, trust was rekindled within the team. The once tense atmosphere lightened, and the team returned to itself. Amy's journey to trust restoration was not without its challenges, but it was a testament to the power of acknowledging one's mistake, taking responsibility, and consistently demonstrating trustworthiness. So that's it. So as we conclude today, let's just know that trust is living and breathing. It's not something soft. It is hard. It lives in our teams, our organization, lives with people. And as we go into the week, let's look out for that. let's keep an eye on that, right? And support, and show support as coaches in your spaces. So, conversation. Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, we've got about 5 minutes. If you have any questions or thoughts? One thing I was going to pop in, and a few weeks ago, I heard someone speak on trust as well. And what was interesting that speaker shared was that lack of trust causes stress, and stress is one of the biggest challenges at work.
Right.
And so, like, we talk about, I feel like on one hand, we talk about trust and we're like, oh, it's so important. But on the other hand, like, it's something that, from my perspective at work, is not given enough emphasis or time, or however you want to say it, for how valuable and how much of an impact, it makes. So it'd be interesting. I don't know if you all have, from your examples or from your experience, maybe like even just like small little things that people can make to build trust or rebuild trust, so it doesn't always feel like it's like this daunting thing of, oh, I've got to build trust. How do I do that?
Yeah. So I'll say one thing that I have done and I have seen do. I remember I spoke about a leader, that just joined our organization, and we're just changing a lot of things. And we didn't know her. Like, don't touch things. Just talk to us. Let us know what's going on with you. But she kept changing things, right? But what it took us, or me, to do, right? I was very defensive and resistant, even as a coach, right? I knew what that meant, but I was still resistant. Now, what I did, right, was listen. I listened to her. And then when I listened to her, I realized that she had good intent, but wasn't setting the expectation. So I met with her one-on-one to understand where she was coming from, right? So that one-on-one conversation, and I said, and I told her that it's hard to trust where you're going, because we know you've been in this organization before, you've done ABC, but we need to know where you're taking us to. And she laid the plan, but rather she was just dishing things out. When she understood that that's what we wanted, right? She came back to us and said, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I have in mind. Work with me. So it was listening to her, right? We challenged her, right? That was part of it. And then we partnered with her. So I think that really did it for me in my situation.
Yeah, and that means that somebody else, just like Sid said, trust begins somewhere. Somebody had to take that step. So you took that initiative to go to her or him and actually figure out and understand, where are you taking us? Because the leader might have thought that he's passing the message and everybody's understanding, but they don't want to follow, or they're just being resistant. But it took you to take your time and meet with the leader to really understand and make the leader aware that, oh, so my message is not getting through. I need 1, 2, 3 things. And that created another atmosphere, created another environment for her or him to come out and speak about it. And I'm sure that is where the trust came back. And you guys started following. So somebody has to take that initiative. There has to be collaboration. There has to be positive intent. And don't just sit there and just say, oh, I don't trust this person. Find out what is that is making you not trust them. It may not be something they know about. Maybe we're just thinking in our head because of one thing or the other, which for them is already gone.
Right.
So find out, have those one-on-one, have those meetings with those leaders, and just open up respectfully. This is what I'm hearing from you. I really want to understand more about this.
And I'm actually great at not caring about your position, right? I just go to you, right? And I ask you honestly because I'm seeking to understand.
Yeah.
And I've never heard like a soft answer, you know, turns away rough. Like I've never spoken your manner of approach, right? Of speaking would also is you get back how you approach things, right? So I go in with a childlike curiosity to say, hey, I don't understand, right? And I don't go in with the roles. I go in with my intention, positive intent.
Yeah.
Right, that's a great one to, I think, to end on for today, talking about maybe just getting a little bit more curious and listening can open up that door for those conversations and that trust. Well, thank you, Chichi and Dr. Fran. we really appreciated the conversation, and everyone did. Loved all the interactions. So thanks everybody for sharing your comments, whether it be in the chat or verbally. We really love that. That does make these sessions even more engaging. But again, thank you to our speakers for coming and joining us today. Wanted to go ahead and shout out for our next session, which truly goes along wonderfully with this conversation. So integrity was mentioned as something that's essential to trust, and Will is going to join, and he's going to give us a little bit of some tools to think about as a leader, or even somebody who needs to lead with integrity. How do you do that without, when you make that mistake, putting that blame on yourself, and how do you get past some of that internal that maybe might hinder you from being willing to apologize or change? Or so I'm really interested in what Will has to say. I think it's a take that I know I haven't heard yet over the past few years in Agile. So we're super excited to have him join. So that'll be November. I don't have the exact date. I do, November 6th. So first one of November. With that, just a couple kind of finishing up. If you are interested in continuing with Agile Austin, of course, you can join our meetups whenever. But we also do have a membership if you're wanting to join the membership. That gives you a few of the extra perks. And like that was mentioned earlier, we do love having sponsors since this is a nonprofit organization. And I'll kind of jump quickly. We do have some board members, but I'll jump quickly to just, again, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it, and look forward to our next session.
Cheers.
Thank you. Fun.
Thank you, Chichi and Dr. Fran. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Fun day.